A book one was all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book Shift Your Mind to Shift Your Weight. No other than Dr. Pavi Kundhal.
Thanks, Daniel, for having me on your show today.
Welcome to Book 101, Dr. Pavi, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Thanks again. So, my name is Pavi Kundhal. I'm a practicing surgeon in the Greater Toronto area. Um, I've spent the last 16 years in high volume general surgery practice, but a large part of my practice has been on helping people achieve health through weight, both through surgical and non-surgical weight loss solutions. During this time, we have used cutting edge technology and evidence based treatments to help people lose weight. But what I have found is that a lot of patients often either they gain their weight back or the weight loss stalls, and that can be very devastating for someone when that occurs. And I've seen over time that while it's important to use these medications and surgeries and dietary changes, it's also very important to work on someone's mindset and attitude towards eating. Because unless you address some of those underlying issues, those same habits and tendencies can recur. And that was kind of the motivation for me writing my instructive journal, Shift Your Mind to Shift Your Weight. It's to be used as a tool in addition to whatever strategies you're using to lose weight to kind of help change your mindset with eating.
Dr. Pavia, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the
Thank you.
world. And hoping for more and more and more empowering books like this to come. Why combine manifestation, meditation, gratitude, and mindfulness as the core tools for weight loss?
So the reason why I use those variety of tools is there are a number of reasons. They all do different things, and some patients may respond or relate better to those different tools than others. So some patients might find meditation very calming. It may help them increase their mindfulness, be more present, and those, for example, that would help you when you're eating to appreciate first the question, why am I eating? To be able to be present and see how your body's responding to the food. Am I already full? Do I need to have any, additional servings, or am I actually full? So some patients may find that the meditation is a calming practice. Also, a lot of patients they have tried different things to lose weight over the years, and sometimes they've succeeded, sometimes they've not, and that can sometimes impact their mentality and their mindset, and they may feel negative. Oh, it's going to be like every other time. Why should I even bother? And that's where I think affirmation is very important. Affirmations are repeating thoughts. There are different ways to do it. You can visualize it, you can write it, you can say it, but saying empowering statements that shift your mind to more of a positive headspace. And over time, that will crowd out negative thoughts. And if you crowd out the negative thoughts, you'll feel more empowered then to make positive changes in your life. And I think also gratitude, people respond well to that too. That's being thankful for what you have. So, sometimes you can be too focused on what you don't have or what you're missing. But when you actually are thankful for what you do have, that can help refocus your mindset. And again, shift more into a positive mindset and then have the right attitude to try to make positive changes in your life, whether it be weight loss or anything else.
Dr. Pavi, how does your approach fundamentally differ from traditional calorie counting or restrictive diets?
So um, I think that a lot of people will try to say that they'll try to oversimplify weight loss and say that it's simply you either, burn more calories or eat less calories. They kind of take, a thermodynamic approach to it. And it's not that simple. I mean, human beings are complex beings. There are lots of reasons why we do or don't do things, and a lot of it relates to our past experiences, how we were raised, And sometimes a lot of the ways we eat or how we relate to food is learned. We've been taught, by our parents, we've been taught, for example, to associate eating, for example, with celebrating. So if something goes well, it's time to eat. We can, overindulge. Or if you're stressed out, you may say, "Well, I'm just going to eat a comfort food." And so, while though you could say, "Well, you just stop eating those," unless you address the underlying motivations for why you're engaging in that behavior, it's not going to be sustainable just to say, well, you should just stop eating as much and you're going to lose weight. You have to actually address the reasons why. So, for example, if you know that when you're stressed out, your go-to is to maybe snack on something or have ice cream or chips. When you start practicing mindfulness and being aware that you are starting to have those feelings of stress, that's when you got to kind of introduce a circuit breaker and be present. Say, stop, I'm feeling stressed. I know in the past when that happens, I'm going to eat something unhealthy or go to my comfort foods. Maybe what I'm going to do is do a short take some deep breaths in and out, try to kind of let those feelings pass, maybe go for a walk, drink a glass of water, distract myself. And over time, as you become more present and mindful of, and understand why you do what you do, that changes your mindset and how you approach those challenges that we all face in life. And I think that's kind of the different approach that we're bringing with our program.
Interesting indeed, Dr. Pavi. Interesting. Why choose a journal format over a perspective guide? How does writing accelerate mindset shift?
Right. So I think there's something. So the first thing is with the journaling, we know that change takes time and it takes consistency. And that's why we designed the journal to have 90 days, because there are studies that suggest that, when you do something for, almost 3 months or 100 days, there's a higher chance of becoming a regular behavior. So, particularly with journaling, I do think there's something with sitting down, trying to collect your thoughts, understand them, and that physical act of putting those thoughts to paper, and then you're visualizing it, you're imprinting it in your head through the sort of physical mind connection. I think that even in my own life, when I journal, if I'm trying to understand or deal with something that I'm finding stressful, writing it down often provides clarity, and I think that there's a lot of value in that.
Add value for that and interesting to know all those things, Dr. Pavi. And what specific meditation techniques do you teach to disturb or to disrupt emotional eating or cravings?
Right. So sometimes, so let's say you're in a social setting. You've started a new weight loss program, and you've had to go to a wedding or a birthday party or something that you can't avoid, and now you're kind of getting stressed out. You're going to be in an environment, so, social environment. Eating is going to be a big thing. Maybe some of the foods that you've indulged in the past are going to be there, and you're worried that maybe it's going to trigger past behaviors and throw you off your weight loss program. So in those immediate circumstances, sometimes just practicing deep breathing is almost a form of meditation where you're kind of getting control of your emotions. And sometimes those short bursts of quiet meditation internally can help settle you and help you understand and control your emotions. Now, as a daily practice, when you have more um, time available, I grew up meditating. My parents meditated, so that's something that I've done my entire life, and I continue to do it. And there are different types of meditation. So you can do, for example, you can do like visualization meditation. So you sit in a quiet room and you try to visualize, for example, something that you can focus on, whatever it may be. So, for example, in the context of losing weight, you may visualize yourself as a healthy, vibrant person, and really try to immerse yourself in that visualization. Try to see how it feels to be that type of person, um, uh, and kind of, and by visualizing it, it also makes it more real. It's just like when athletes visualize themselves. A lot of famous athletes will visualize themselves before a big game, in real time, how they're going to act if scenario A or B or C happens. So the same way through visualization, by visualizing something, you make it more real, and it also, it has a calming effect, and that's one of the key things about meditation. So similarly, you can do like affirmation meditations or mantras where you repeat something and you really deeply resonate on what that affirmation is. And you don't have to do it for a long time. Sometimes people think, well, if I meditate, I'm going to have to meditate for an hour or 30 minutes. I can't fit that in my schedule. Even doing it, for 5 or 10 minutes a day, that'll compound over time, and that'll have a calming effect. It'll give you greater control of your emotions. And it also will increase your mindfulness. You'll be able to shut out all the distractions that we're constantly being bombarded with in modern society, and having that ability to calm yourself and be more present, that's a really valuable skill, that you can use when making decisions day in, day out about what you eat, or, how you're responding to stresses in your life, which will then impact for some people, how they, trigger emotional eating.
Very well said, Dr. Pavi. Very well said.
Thank you.
Beyond eating slowly, how does your journal help readers uncover emotional triggers behind unconscious eating?
So I think that a lot of us have, things, unconscious behaviors or unconscious eating habits that we associate things with. So, for example, sometimes you've associated, "Oh, I'm going to watch TV." You can't imagine not watching TV without having a snack, or, um, I'm going to meet up with friends. Um, Anytime we meet up with friends, it has to be over dinner. So you tie meeting up with friends with eating. Or, I'm stressed out right now. I don't feel like I have control of my life, but the one thing I can control is what I eat. So I'm going to eat something that makes me feel good. So journaling is very important because it helps you identify those patterns that you may not be aware that are happening. You've never sat down and really, given much thought to, why did I actually eat? Did I eat because I was hungry? Did my body need energy? Was I having physical hunger, or was I having emotional hunger? And that's one of the things I stress in our weight loss program, is you need to identify the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. Physical hunger is when your body actually needs food and needs energy and needs calories to carry out your day-to-day functions. So, for example, you may not have eaten 4 to 6 hours ago, so that feeling is understandable because your body actually needs energy now. You may feel that empty feeling in your stomach. You may feel lightheaded, low energy, a bit dizzy. Those are and when you eat, you feel satisfied. Okay, I was hungry. I ate nourishing food. Now I feel better. Now, emotional hunger, that's triggered by feelings of stress, sadness, happiness. It's different for everyone. Often emotional hunger just comes right away. It's not something that's slowly been building up as your body needs energy. It just happens. Oh, I had an argument with some of my family. I'm just going to eat something. So it comes right away. Um, and it's often you're desiring those foods that you go through in stressful situations. So maybe, chips or ice cream or whatever it is for a certain person. And then after you eat it, you actually feel guilty. You don't feel satisfied. You feel like, why did I eat this? I didn't need to do this. So there is a big difference between emotional and physical hunger, and a lot of people, they're not aware of those differences until they're actually told about them, and then they actually start writing down, or in a trackable, measurable way, try to find out why they're eating and what's triggering it. And that's again where I think journaling is very important, because it's a structured way to try to understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you're making those choices.
Mr. Pavi or Dr. Pavi, as a mindset focused weight loss expert, surgeon, obesity medicine specialist, and of course an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
So, so I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. I've always loved being a physician and a surgeon. I love working with my hands. The thing I've always liked about surgery is a person will have a problem. let's say it's a tumor, you remove it, it's solved, you've helped that person. So obviously, as a surgeon and a physician, I'm always trying to get better at what I do, and provide excellent high quality patient care. One thing that I'm working on is, I do really strongly feel that we've had major advancements in obesity medicine with GLP-1 medications and cutting edge surgeries, but it's very difficult to provide intensive mindset care for patients just because of all the stresses in our healthcare systems. And that was part of the motivation why I wrote this book, was to kind of equip people with tools to provide self-directed um, mindset techniques to help change their approach to eating. And I am going to be introducing a mindset digital course to make it more available to patients on a broader way, and that will be coming on in the next few months. So that's one of my short to long term goals that I'm working on. A lot of patients have asked me about it, and I do think it'll be something very valuable, because ultimately, we know from the studies, whether you have surgery or medications, many patients will regain the weight. So at least if you can equip them with these mindset skills, and give them an approach to understand why they're doing what they're doing, those are things they can carry with them the rest of their life. Whether it be losing weight, but it also transcends to other areas of your life, whether it be professional, your relationships. And so that's sort of what I'm focusing I'd say the second half of my career on.
Good luck to your goals, Dr. Pavi, and looking forward for more and more success. What would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
So I think when you're trying to decide, for example, let's say you're trying to decide what you want to do or what you want to pursue with your career. I think the first thing is, you have to form good habits, because habits ultimately will determine, they determine your choices, and what you ultimately, and your choices ultimately determine your life. So, getting into good habits at a young age, whatever that may be, having discipline, consistency, whatever area of life you want to focus on, whether it be, if you want to be a doctor, or you want to be an accountant, or you want to be a writer, just having consistent habits will take you very far in whatever field that is. I also think it's important, when you're young, a younger person, have an open mind, be open to different things. Initially, when I started my studies at university, I actually did my focus in undergraduate was in economics. But then I took a couple of elective courses, and then I started to think more and more, well, maybe I don't actually want to work in the business world. So I kept an open mind. I volunteered at a hospital. I had some mentors, and I actually ended up applying to medical school. So I shifted completely from a business background to pursuing medicine as a profession. I'm very happy with it. So I think having an open mind, always being curious, um, and not feeling like you're stuck in doing something. Those That's the advice I would give to young people. And the world's changing now with artificial intelligence and all the different types of technologies that are coming out. I think for a young person trying to get established, I think just having an open mind, being curious, being creative, willing to ask people for advice, because people are willing to help. You just have to ask them. So that'd be my advice to like a younger person trying to like start out.
Thank you for your advice, Dr. Pavi. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and book 101 review in fifth season too. A comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101 and fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in third season, and movie 101 review and music 101 in each fourth season. Science 101 and sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And Dr. Fabi, what does it mean to truly change your relationship with eating, and how does this free readers beyond weight loss?
So I think ultimately to change your relationship with eating means to change. It means to really understand why you're eating. So, and I think that that's key. So when you actually understand why you're doing what you're doing, then you are a conscious decision maker, whether that be eating or how you relate to other people, things you do at work. So I think understanding why you're eating and fundamentally understanding if you're eating because of physical hunger or emotional hunger, spending time to understand those things specific to you will change your relationship with eating. And I think on a broader sense, um, really understanding yourself will then help guide you understand why you're making the choices that you're making. Ultimately, the choices you make are what creates the life you have. And I think a lot of people go through life not really understanding why they're doing what they're doing. They're kind of making unconscious decisions, not really stopping and being present and thinking about why am I doing this or why am I not doing this? Am I not doing it because I don't really want to do it, or am I doing not doing it because I'm worried what someone else will think or because someone told me in the past? So once you become, and I think that goes back to mindfulness, actually being present, understanding the stimuli that's being presented to you and why you're reacting to it, and then based on that, why you're deciding what to do. And I think again, that's where journaling comes in. That's not easy to do right away. That takes time. I would say it's a learned behavior, slowing things down, trying to understand why you're doing it. And I think that's where journaling really plays, and even meditation plays an important role because there's so much distraction and stimuli around us. A lot of times we don't even understand why we did something.
Dr. Pavi Kundhal, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world and hoping for more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book itself as well as your advocacy to the world?
Yeah, thanks again, Daniel. My book's available on Amazon.com. You can just search "Shift Your Mind to Shift Your Weight." And if you want any, on my Instagram at peelweightlossclinic.com, we have lots of weight loss advice and tips for patients. And you can always visit our website. And I hope the listeners have found this conversation valuable. I really enjoyed it today.
Yes, people, let's support Dr. Pavi Kundal because if you support him, more and more and more empowering coaching or books to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Pavi, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. You have a good night.
More to come, people. See you soon.